This is Fremont 14's 2018 facility planning meeting with the School Facilities Division of the State Construction Department, and we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves.
Good afternoon, Brandon Finney with Planning and Finance.
Amber Leach, Planning.
Charlie Kaufman, Planning.
Paul Severson, Design and Construction Administrator.
Troy Decker, Planning.
John Rexus, Project Manager.
Dave Rushforth, Assistant Superintendent of Fremont 14.
Gordon Highwalker, Maintenance. Owen St. Clair, Superintendent, Fremont 14.
Thank you for joining us today. We want to thank Amber for all the work she's done to get ready for this meeting, and thank you, District, for getting everything in for us to be able to do this today. A lot of these items up front are formal, or is for formality. If you have any questions on these first few things, let us know and we'll stop and we can address them. But for the most part, we're just going to go right on through. So these are the buildings, the pictures of your buildings in your campus. Troy was good enough to provide these for us. This is the high school right here on the left, and then the new Wyoming Indian Elementary School here on the right. Where's the middle school? Yes.
So what's this guy here?
So that is, so right here is the bus barn.
Okay. So high school bus barn.
All right.
What's this guy?
That is, what is it?
Administration building. Okay. And what else is in there, Dave?
I'm getting a lot of feedback on our end here. There's someone with the mic open that may be shuffling papers around. We're not hearing everything that's being said.
I think you can have them call in every time. It's just normal standard.
Okay. So what we needed to have you do, we've been having issues with several districts. We need you to go ahead and call in that number that's on the invitation.
So stay on the screen so you can see, then you can mute your audio on your computer. Call in on there's also a number there you can call in and go right over the phone.
We've called in on the phone.
We're on our phone.
So you're not using your computer audio. You're on the phone.
Yeah.
Okay. You can use your computer.
We're getting a lot of feedback.
Yeah, we're on the computer and we're not getting any feedback. I guess we could call in.
Yeah. Let's so give us 1 second. We're going to go ahead and we'll call in. So give us 1 second here. I'll pause the recording.
Well, they're doing a fire alarm test, so we'll mute our.
Oh, that's what that chirp is. And
wow. You're saying you're hitting feedback, yeah.
Okay.
So we'll mute ours and unmute it when we have a response.
Okay, very good.
Did you unpause?
Yes, I did unpause the recording. We are back recording again. So Troy, for the old Wyoming Indian Middle School.
Capture that and paste it right in. Go for it. Sorry about that. You know what? I don't know if I've ever been to that building. Yes, I have. Surely.
Snippages.
I think you ought to make a trip.
That's right. John and I need to go take a special trip.
And Amber.
And Amber, yeah. And Charlie and Brandon and Paul.
All right.
Road trip.
All right, Troy, for your request, here we go. Okay. All right, so tracks and deeds, you guys have reviewed those and no issues there, so we'll continue moving on through. Land leases, I have a hard time seeing what that one is. Amber, what's the land lease for them?
That is their.
Education K-5 building lease plan, Wyoming Indian, yes. It must be on land lease.
It's a 50-year lease.
50-year lease.
And it's for the Indian Elementary School.
Okay, so it's for Wyoming Indian, that's right, I remember that.
Automatic 25-year extension.
Okay, yeah, so let's go to look at Wyoming Indian real quick for there.
In order for us.
So this is the piece they own, the piece that's highlighted, and the leasing part is right outside of that.
Interesting.
So, sorry, we did. Yeah, so these are teacher jizz of theirs.
Teacher jizz.
Oh, teacher,
and then on there, so.
Okay. Hey, what are you guys using that one building up on the upper part above the teacher jizz? Are you guys still using that for preschool, or what were you guys using it for? Or are you using it for?
We are going to be putting it to use in the next school year, possibly looking at a preschool or a Kinder Boost program in that building.
Okay, right now, is it vacant then, or?
In any school district, is any building vacant? We put stuff in
No,
it.
it's usually full of garbage. Storage. Okay.
It's overflow.
Overflow, that's a positive way of saying it.
Very good.
We should get that as a category.
Overflow.
Overflow building.
Okay. So moving on real quick, we'll go ahead and continue here. Property profiles have been reviewed and everything looks good on, there was the notes down here, I wanted to make sure. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go back up.
Yes.
Okay, they haven't, I've turned in like, 0115 and 0116.
Okay.
And those were the freezer and boiler rooms outside the old elementary, and they were demolished. I sent that in to Amber earlier in the week, and those need to be replaced.
I will remove those.
And 0117,
Yes.
it's not number 19, it's number 17.
Okay, and teachers night, teachers severance.
You've got them listed
Teachers
below,
severance.
Charlie, you
Okay.
don't have to worry about it.
Just so you understand, since we got it just this week, that, they're trying to get caught up on backlogs. So what we did was note it in the notes that those were in process to be changed in AIM, so that we captured those changes that you sent in.
So you can just type there, Charlie, just say these.
So
these
I
will
do
be
appreciate you
updated
following through with the documentation. We just got to get
in the-
that changed in AIM, and then we'll copy that documentation as relative documents to follow up.
I don't think 17 was going to be removed, was it? What I just heard him say is that it's improperly listed as teachers
19, right, we'll update that as well. We'll update the name.
Okay, but that's not what your note says.
Okay.
Your note says.
And the address.
Okay. I'm sorry, say that last one again. I apologize.
And the address on that needs to be updated to 17 Coolidge Drive.
You're in the wrong spot.
That's the district
Oh,
notes.
yeah. I thought you were going to put it next to that other one.
Oh, no, that's their comments.
Yes.
Okay.
Or, whoops, excuse me, wow, I fingered that one.
Okay, so 15 and 16 are being removed, and 17 is
Going
updated.
Two buildings, or teacherage 17.
Teacherage, number 17.
In lieu of 19.
Excuse me. I'm trying to take notes here at the same time, not doing very successful in both, unfortunately. Okay. All right, thank you.
Go back and just kind of, okay, let's
Go
read
back
that.
up. One
Okay.
more.
One more time. Okay.
The new elementary, the address on 118, it's not 23 Coolidge Drive. The county gave us a new fire number, and that's 369 Blue Sky Highway.
Okay. All right, I will.
And that was also in one of the notes that I sent in. One of the changes that I sent in.
Okay.
Okay, so the ones that, what you're asking here are encompassed in the 3 updates that you sent in to us, correct?
I sent in 4.
Oh, so there's a 4th one. Okay,
Okay.
Yes.
so let's record that number down there too.
All right. Okay. 19. Okay, address for WIS needs to be updated. Okay, and what's the fourth one?
Have him tell you again.
Okay, Dave, what's the fourth one?
0118.
Okay.
0118. Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right, we will make those changes.
So let's stop right here. So, Amber, I know you really work hard at trying to get these done so that we don't spend time for 8 people, 9 people to do this. But right here, since it wasn't done before, okay, we need to do it right here. We need to make sure we do it right. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to copy those 3 above.
Okay.
Just copy all 3.
Okay.
And bring them down and paste them on the very front end of that note.
Okay.
And then type that new number right there. So, and if we can't get this stuff done before we meet here, then we're just going to do it right here and make sure it's done correctly, because this is a written record of what should be the final document.
Right.
Blue sky.
And they sent the AIM update forms in. It was just a matter of not getting it completed from Janet.
In
She
time.
had it.
Right.
Yeah, they just sent it
Sure.
on Tuesday,
Okay.
Monday/Tuesday, when we could
Okay.
even touch it. And she's got several before this to even process before she could get to these. That's why we were trying to capture it.
Okay.
And I know, Gordon, you tried to help me in terms of us trying to get that captured here.
Yep. And that's why we put it in the notes.
Right. And Dave, I guess we should have worked a little closer on that and made sure that you were satisfied with these notes yesterday that we finished up.
Okay, well, hopefully next year, Amber, we can maybe get this stuff, you know, and again, the reason we do the pre and the final meetings is just to make sure that we, you know, just get all those details out and then make sure we get accurate details before we have our meeting. So this is fine, but hopefully next year, if we have some changes here, we'll get them in time and make sure they're integrated in advance.
Well, this is Gordon. It's kind of my fault. I had a building down with no heat that day of the meeting. So I wasn't able to get a hold of Amber or let somebody know. So kind of my fault. It's not Amber's fault, but I'll get on it next year.
Hey, thank you. And we also recognize that you guys have a lot on your plate. So, but thank you. And we look forward to maybe that happening next year.
Okay. So I have the changes. There we go. All right, those are the changes. And I will make those changes as soon as we are able to. So does that look like how you want to look?
Yep, if that's good district, that's accurate, right?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, very good. Anything else on the property profiles?
Nope.
Okay, moving to enhancements really quick. You have verified it, reviewed these. Any changes on the enhancements?
Nope. Not yet.
Okay, so moving on, so the next part of the facility plan is the district appropriations update, and we go through these projects that are here, and it says that you have, this one is complete, and we will go ahead and revert 1053 for Fremont 14, and I'm getting this note to Brandon so we can get this project closed out and have the funds reverted. So thank you for the note.
How much money was that, give or take?
100 grand, 175.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, hey, money's money.
How far past the 11 months are you?
What's that?
How far past the 11th month warranty period?
Oh. Let's see. So that would have been April? We moved in March.
It's a year.
Okay.
Cool. Okay.
All right.
Well, good. All right, we will
Then
take
they
care of that.
So the outside, the demolition was finished in October of last year, of 16. So, you know, we're 6-8 months out.
So you mean 17?
Yeah, 17 on the demo.
Yeah.
All right, we will start the process. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and jump to security now.
All right, I'm just going to do a quick rundown of the history on the security funding and projects that you have in AIM. And then we'll open it up for discussion after I run through this. We got $9 million from the legislature in the 15-16 biennium for security. In 15, we sent out a firm to do an assessment of all the educational and non-educational buildings in the state. They identified 20 elements related to security and identified deficiencies in those buildings that would bring the minimum to an acceptable standard for each element. We were able to determine that 8 of those 20 elements could be addressed with the $9 million, and it wasn't prioritized in any specific order. Once the deficiencies were identified and the cost to bring those to that minimum standard, JJ created the projects in AIM for the educational buildings. The way the cost was broken down was for the hard cost of the actual remedy for the deficiency. So there really wasn't any soft costs considered in those remedies. And so the legislature made 10% major maintenance funds available to address those soft costs that wouldn't be considered as an item that qualifies for regular major maintenance to supplement that funding. I guess probably I didn't explain that very well, but basically, if you're working on an existing system that qualifies for regular major maintenance, those soft costs can be covered with regular major maintenance. But if it is a non-existing system, or if it's something that typically doesn't qualify for regular major maintenance, you can use 10% of 1 year's allocation of major maintenance to address those issues. The goal of the security funding was to give each district an equal opportunity to provide security to that minimum standard. This latest legislative session, we wanted to request additional funds to move a little further down the list and address some of the other remaining elements that don't have any funds appropriated for them. But because there's been such a slow rollout of the expenditures of this funding, they asked us to get a little bit farther along and get some of this money spent before they appropriated any additional funds. There are some districts that have been able to secure grants from Homeland Security for security-related projects. I don't know much more about it than that, other than I can probably put you in touch with some of those districts if you're wanting to learn more. And Amber has also included some contact information in this facility plan report if you want to just contact Homeland Security yourself and see, you know, what you may qualify for and how to go about securing those grants. In March, next month, on the 13th, we're having a follow-up to the security conference we had last October, and that's going to take place in Riverton. It's sponsored by Fremont 24. If you didn't make the conference in October in Casper, I can tell you that it was extremely informational and entertaining. The gentleman that spoke at Casper and will be speaking in Riverton is very knowledgeable and very interesting to listen to. So I'd encourage you to contact Kay Watson over at Fremont 24 if you're interested in attending that meeting as well. So with that being said, I know that we've got some projects up there for you, to the tune of almost $200,000 for security issues within those 8 elements, and I'd be willing to help you any way I could to get some of those going. Dave, I know you and I spoke about it previously, and you had some concerns about integration with systems that you were planning on replacing as part of your major maintenance work. So I'm not entirely sure where you're at now with that, or if there's any way that you could. Go ahead.
John, you didn't get back with me because our conversation went like this. We got $200,000 sitting out here, and all our other security infrastructure basically is 28 years old. So the issue was, you know, there's some of this stuff that secure vestibule at the high school, we already have that. They came in and they still put it in there and said, no, we needed to have a secure vestibule there. We already have that. And some of this stuff we don't agree with. So we're saying, can we take this money, use it with our major maintenance money too, to upgrade our infrastructure, fire panels and everything else that's so far out of date that, you know, which is a security issue for us. Combine that and not do all these projects, but combine it and get it done. And we've never had an answer out of that. Because basically, if we do this, it's a one, you know, one door, one this or that that's not going to fit into our other, you know, won't work with our other already old panels and infrastructures. And so we're basically throwing some good money after, you know, bad.
I thought we had a conversation that followed that up where we discussed possibly running those concurrently with the projects that you were planning on bringing other stuff up to date, and that it wasn't feasible to use this security money for anything outside of the 8 elements that were identified.
No, you never got back to me. You said you had to go back and talk to someone back at the SFD, and I haven't heard from you since.
We had a phone conversation about a week after I visited you up there, Dave. But, I mean,
no,
we can go over that again.
Okay.
I mean, that funding was specifically pointed at those 8 elements, and it has to be used for those 8 elements.
Right. When the original assessment and security standards was set up, they set up 20 elements. The legislature asked us to identify which of those elements were most critical and to fund those first. We did that, and we have had a few requests, as you've made here, to utilize the money in other areas, but that is not what the intent of this fund was. The intent is to bring everybody with these elements up to the same standard. If you feel like you've already met those standards, some districts have waived the funds and we've reverted them. And we have other districts who say they could use additional funds to work on these 8 elements. So we do have other districts who would use the funds. So if they do not work in your district, you do not have to use them. We'd appreciate knowing that you're not going to use them so we can give others opportunities to use it.
Okay, we will have a discussion on that and get back with you.
Thanks.
You know, with that being said as well, I mean, there's not a mandate there that remedy for that particular element is exactly what you have to do. As long as you're addressing that element with the funds that are made available, your remedy could differ from what FEA's intended remedy was or is.
So can you give an example?
If they're talking about, you know.
Well, we can use the vestibule example. There have been some districts that they feel the most critical element of these is vestibules. And as John had stated before, these were set up essentially addressing the hard costs, and they say, well, the soft costs are more than we can afford. Can we utilize more of this money to make those vestibules happen? And we've been able to allow them to do that as long as they identify to us that the items that they're moving funds away from, that they won't be back funded again. So once they essentially give those dollars away, they're gone, or move them to another element. So we have honored the requests of some districts to utilize the funds and specialize on some particular element of these 8. Rather than do them all. We aren't necessarily encouraging that, but we do encourage districts to do what they think is best for their district.
So if I understand you, they can take any of these categories, elements,
Yes.
pull them up into a single element or two, as described here.
Correct.
Fire alarm panels is not part of that.
That is not part of
got
this
it.
funding.
So they can either use this, pool it, rearrange it. They could if they want to, or use it where it is, or don't use it at all, and you guys.
But the 8 elements that are up on the screen right now are the universe of where this 200,000 you have available to you can be spent.
Well, and I guess the point too, I agree with everything Paul said, but the point I was trying to make is, you know, there might be if you look on that security info report, there might be a specific deficiency related to that secured vestibule that they had assigned that dollar value to address. But if there's something else within that secured vestibule that's a prioritization to you above that specific deficiency, then you still can use those funds for that other component of that element that you'd like to use it for. If it's something as easy as some kind of access control or whatever for that vestibule, but say you would prefer to do some other component to a secured vestibule, you have the flexibility to do that. It just has to be related to that element.
Right. So I think it basically says there is some flexibility, but the flexibility is within these elements. It's not outside of these elements.
Okay. So Charlie, if you could make a note down there that
Yes.
The district's going to do some more internal discussions and then get back to, with John, whether or not they can use these funds or return them back to the department in order to be dispersed to other districts.
That would be correct.
Yeah. A couple things that I'd like to add to that. That security information report is critical to all of this because that kind of, if you go into that report and you pull up all elements, all deficiencies, and then you go to the specific element and location in the report, there's some surveyor comments from the assessment that give you an idea of what their recorded deficiency is and what the intent was behind the funding that was made available for that, just so that you have a better understanding of of where they were coming from, but also on our website, we have a security remedy guide that goes into more detail about, you know, what their expectations were for that minimum standard that's out there, and that helps give some guidance as well. And I can show you how to get there if you're not aware of where it's located or if you haven't seen it before. Just give me a holler sometime and I'll walk you right through to it. But those two reports are critical in understanding, you know, what the intent was behind this funding and what flexibility you have.
Okay.
Any other questions on security?
Nope.
Okay. So moving on, we will now move over to capacity for your district. These are the capacity numbers for your district as of this time with the October 2 enrollment numbers from WDE. So now, as part of that, we also like to look at the enrollment projections for your district. And okay, so as you know, we take we have 20 years of data, but we use the last 10 years in your enrollment projection. And you look across here, and you know, over the last 10 years, you know, been averaging around that 600 mark for students in their district, and I've been fairly stable on that.
Okay.
The new elementary was a capacity or condition?
Condition.
Yep. And when we get down, did you do the capacity already? I think?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting when you go back up. That elementary is 60% or so.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, as we go through these, you know, over the years, and we see the commission's, well, the state statute says 5 years after completion projected enrollment.
Too big.
Yeah, well, at least it's certainly sufficient, for sure, right? And then what the commission approved versus what it was designed to is usually, they're usually able to get more student seats in there than what it was approved for.
Oh,
So that was probably made that gap a little bit wider.
Gotcha.
Correct.
Nothing bad, they just met the minimal and maybe a little more.
Right, and so then the other thing we look at for most districts is also the survival rate, and it's all interesting for us to know these items. So, any other questions or comments on? Okay. Very good.
Nope, not from us.
Okay. Very good. So more as an FYI for you guys, every year we prioritize our highest capacity needs, and these are the needs that are across the state for as of this year. And we do it per our policy 2013-20 and categorize them in high, medium, and low. And so those are the needs that are out there right now for the state. And currently we're doing a study in Rock Springs for an intermediate option for them, for their high school. And, you know, again, you know, just for your information. So thank you. Okay. Major maintenance calculations and allowable gross square footage. Troy, do you want to talk to that one?
Yeah, basically, when we get ADM from WDE, that's put in our square foot calculator, and it drives out an allowable. And so you guys have basically almost 250,000 actual square feet, gross square feet, but your ADM pays for 146. So you're looking at a little over 100,000 square feet a year that is not covered by major maintenance. And that's, again, a combination of how the district designed the buildings, the over-design by state statute that we had to do with regard to designing your elementary school, And then just the simple fact that your ADM is lower than, you know, driving 100% of what it could be for allowable. So that's just a combination. Therefore, what we've been trying to do in the last year is there was a major maintenance study presented to Commission, Select Committee. We have tried to close the gap between, like in your district, between the 146 and 249. And the Commission has made recommendations for increased funding for major maintenance. And in just a little while, Brandon's going to share with you what did succeed and what didn't succeed. But one of the things we found was that we didn't have a lot of districts jump on board and talk to legislators and kind of join us in that push for more major maintenance. So it kind of failed, and everybody's busy, we recognize, but that's part of the equation of why it didn't. But some portions did, so Brandon will share that in a little while. We weren't trying to cut, make you cut square footage or anything. We're simply trying to acknowledge that there is a difference between what you get paid for and what you have to maintain. And so in your case, that 100,000 extra square feet is diluting your major maintenance. And so we're trying to bridge that gap through legislative action. And we kind of got a little ways that way. And I think we have really good news for you in just a few minutes when Brandon talks about that. Hey, could we go back up for a second? Security.
Sure.
Hey, on security, by the way, one of the things that Brandon just mentioned yesterday or this morning was that in this year, in the bill that's moving through the legislature right now, that it also has 10% security monies for this payment. So what's their estimated payment?
Yes, give me 1 second, I can look.
We haven't got that far.
No, we have not gotten that far. Your estimated payment is $569,000.
So if that makes it through in the next 10 days or so, you guys will probably end up with another $57,000, give or take, in that 10% security monies. And then also just to remind you again that like upgrading your fire panels, is that security related? No.
Oh, it's not.
It's a component,
Well, but I mean,
security related. Major maintenance, right?
Okay.
It's safety related.
Safety related.
Yeah,
Safety, I don't
they
know.
could do it.
Could they?
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, so that.
But it also qualifies for regular major maintenance, so it doesn't.
Well, it does. You're right.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. But just to make sure you understand that 10% security monies, that can qualify for anything related to security. So you guys will have a little over 100,000 after this July 1 payment, and so if something doesn't, you can use regular major maintenance on your fire alarm panels. So, and we'd probably recommend that. But this money, if you have something that doesn't qualify for the definition of major maintenance, or may still qualify for the definition of major maintenance, you can use this money on that. So I always try to give examples. Some districts have gone to fluorescent vests for all their playground monitors, walkie-talkies, things that normally wouldn't, probably software for management, security management, entry software, and that kind of stuff. This is the kind of money that can be spent on that. So just make sure that you understand what this can be spent on if you so desire.
If there's ever any question, you can just give me a call and we can talk about specific components or elements.
I got a quick question. There's been talk with superintendents and legislators, especially at the last meeting we had in Cheyenne over with JEC, talking about security on buses and going to, there's some districts in the state that have a security system, an ID system, or tracking system, whatever you want to call it. Is that something that you feel coming down the pike, and is that something where monies can be diverted to, or what's the status on that?
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, again, they're buying like vests and walkie-talkies aren't facilities.
They aren't facilities.
They're security. So the best of my knowledge, I'm looking at 2 PMs and making sure, but to the best of my knowledge, it does not have to qualify for the major maintenance definition. It can, and our understanding is it can be spent on anything security related that the district wants to use that major maintenance for to protect students and staff. So from our perspective, there's nothing in this that says you cannot use money for that. Now, I can say that obviously we would love to see whatever you do have an effect on facilities and, I mean, you know, students in buildings, but those are students out in buses. So I guess I don't think we have a platform to say no.
I would agree.
Okay. Does that help?
Thank you.
You betcha.
Okay. So, any other questions on security or on square footage? Okay. Hearing none, we'll continue on here. Your district does not have a charter school or an alternative education program, so we'll keep moving on to condition. This diagram was given to us by FEA back in 2016. Just a visual reminder for us how we can, the life cycle of the building. I know that you have the brand new Wyoming Indian Elementary School, and basically how you get the most life out of that building and looking at opportunities for maintenance along the way of the lifespan of that building. Which leads to eventually these FCI scores. So this first is the first page of the FCI scores for the statewide. Everything in the 0.4 and above was looked at initially in this budget session. Laramie 1's commission directed components are changed. For right now, they're looking to do that to fund carry. Is that correct, Brandon, on that?
That is correct.
Okay. And then the rest are still in there at this point. So then looking at the correlation between the statewide and looking at your buildings, you know, how much maintenance how much deferred maintenance that your buildings have on them at this point versus their current replacement value is how you get your FCI scores. Wyoming Indian Elementary School, because brand new, is a 2% of the deferred maintenance, and I don't understand why they never did go down to 0, but for every new building, the default is 2%. And so then you look across the way here and see that, you know, overall your buildings are in fairly good shape. And it's got some others coming up here, you know, the Star Tour Center and the middle school are starting to creep up a little bit more and some of their deferred maintenance items.
Brandon's going to talk about this a little bit later, but since we're right here, why don't you talk about it here, Brandon, on the Wyoming Indian Elementary School, because it is being phased in, and how I mean, this is good news for you guys.
So this one, there's a bill that's currently going through. It's House Bill 32. And what it was is, Troy mentioned earlier, we did an interim study, or the legislature asked us to do it. And it was an analysis of the major maintenance program. The intent of the study was how to transition and implement an asset preservation program. So it was going to do a couple things. It would have created a computer maintenance management system where all school districts could use it to maintain their facilities, paid for by the state. The RS means number, which is one of the factors in calculating the value of your real estate portfolio, was going to be increased up to about 221. It's currently at 169. And the current replacement value, which is a percentage multiplied times the total cost of your portfolio, which calculates your major maintenance, it was going to go from 2 to 2.5. And then they were going to eliminate the 7-year phase-in also. So all of that combined would have doubled your payment. As it made it to the select committee, it slowly got nibbled away, got to the House, it got cut even further in committee, and right now where they're at, the only thing that survived is the elimination of the 7-year phase-in. And looking at the Wyoming Indian, this is great news for you because you guys have got a building at 2016. So if the bill passes, your payment will go up and you'll be receiving full payment starting July 1st, 18 for that school for the rest of its life. Whereas before you would just get a phased in, I think the first year it's nothing, the next year it's 10, and then they have a scale that goes up to 7 years. So this would help you guys quite a bit.
Yep.
Hopefully it passes, so we'll see.
Okay.
Do you guys have a maintenance software already?
No.
Okay.
All right. Anything else on that?
No, that's sort of the summary of the bill and how it works, and hopefully it's passed.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a huge benefit for districts that have brand new buildings, and as Brandon was saying, that with that, you know, will be an increase to your major maintenance if that goes through.
Or at least not a decrease. I don't know, what year is the elementary now? Is this year 2?
Year 2.
Yes, year 2, so they get 10%.
Yeah,
So they go from nothing to full payment.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Good.
Good. Okay. So moving on to major maintenance. This is your 680 report from June 30 of 2017, and thank you for getting this in to us, and good information for us to have, and then we go through and have your priorities for the last for fiscal year 17, and the electrical service distribution roof coverings for them. And this is basically, we have this information back to 2007, and we can go through and look at the priorities for the district and major maintenance. And then these are numerical breakdowns of that illustration above. One per the overall category, and then one per building. So then looking at your ones and two scores, the low scores, looks like you got just a couple hanging out there, not too many. And looking like they got plans to resolve most of those, so commend you on getting those done and working on those. And then all things considering, we try to project out every year. This payment was last year's 2017 payment. That if the bill does pass, then that would change, but all things holding steady as they are now, this would be the anticipated payment for now, is that $569.
Okay.
Yep. And then on these work orders, thank you for working with Amber to get these done and get these cleaned up, and shows us what your priorities are looking like for the next couple of years. So real quick, what we've been asking districts and all over the state is, how do you prioritize your major maintenance projects? And do you have a committee? And kind of go through that and explain how you guys do that.
Basically, what we do is, you know, it's the superintendent, myself, and Gordon, the head of maintenance, and we talk about what it has been failing, what has been needing a lot of work done on, and start looking at that for the planning. And then we let the board know and go down that road.
Okay, thank you for that. Really quick, then coming to component projects, we did you attend our component webinar?
I did not. Gordon says he didn't. So.
Okay, for your information, that is on our website, the webinar and the training materials. If you do want to submit a component project, you have until September 15th to be able to do so. And that'll be for the next biennium budget. But for your information, in this biennium budget, projects 1 through 16 are currently in our budget bill to get funded. And just more than anything, you look at it and see the projects that are going through, and for the districts that it's going through for. A lot of roofs up there in some HVAC and other items that need work on. So it's a great way to supplement major maintenance if you need to do that.
Okay, but with component projects, you cannot increase square footage.
Correct.
Because, you know, and this comes back to safety and security, and it was on the initial component project back in the 15-16 when the legislature and the governor rearranged those component projects or that funding. Was we have students, and if you go back up to the top where you look at our buildings, we have at both middle school and high school, we have students going from the high school to walking outside. See where that tree is there? There's doors walking right across there to the tech center all day long. Then at the middle school, we have it from the building, from the main building over to the gym where it has classrooms in it.
Those two buildings?
This building
Yep.
here, or okay.
So Dave, yeah, I can give you a first, maybe not.
White roof.
Go ahead, sorry.
It's the white roof.
We go from, okay, go to the,
Right, so you're right.
go to your right.
Oh,
That's concrete there. Go next door is the gym.
Oh, sorry.
And they
yeah,
come out, you can see the sidewalk there.
Yes, right between these two. Sorry, yeah, the roof kind of blended with the concrete there, but yeah.
okay, so yeah, this is really an educational suitability issue as well as a security concern. And we acknowledge that when these things were put in by districts that in the time they felt that was an appropriate thing to do. But in today's media-driven world, we recognize that there are dangers in open campuses and when students, when students go between buildings. And a really good or bad example, whichever one you want to take, is Wheatland. They have 7 different buildings that those students go through on that campus at Wheatland High School every single day, and on that campus. So they have huge security concerns. So that's a real concern. They actually invited the governor up, and I believe he went and visited that campus, and legislators and stuff like that, and just showed him the reality there. Nothing really occurred from that from a substantive way with regard to monies toward a solution. So that is actually happening across the state in multiple areas. The funding sources right now that provided to you are obviously major maintenance component for existing square footage. If it qualifies for major maintenance, that's what component would qualify for. And then on the capital side, we prioritize according to capacity. Your district would not qualify right now because there's a lot of districts ahead of you, or building condition. And your buildings are in great condition. So right now there is no funding mechanism to deal with that concern in districts, and still remains as a non-capital request area that we would have any authority to encourage the commission to ask for.
Unless they use fences with the 10% security money.
That's right. So if there's things you can do with that 10% security monies to make that site more safe, that would be a great opportunity for you to do that is legislatively approved, and this office would certainly support, which means you would have over 100,000 by July 1 if that goes through. So good job, Paul.
Okay,
that's correct.
But to enclose those, it would be over $500,000 a piece. So basically, you're saying, because we knew, and things have changed, since we put that component level in and the definitions of component level. And we were on there to build those things, you know, and it was just over $1 million back then. And then the legislature thinks, you know, and the governor changed all that and made it a security issue and broke it out to all the districts. And that's the way that bill went, because I followed that bill very closely then. So you're saying we really don't have any avenue to deal with it but Band-Aids.
Well, actually, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking now of LaGrange, Wyoming, rural school. So they actually put, I don't know where your 500,000 comes in, but you could actually put limited fencing between those two buildings, blocking off the parking lot on the as we look north on the west side, and actually blocking off the east side. And you could put limited fencing there that would certainly secure those students between those buildings. Now, is that okay? You can call it a Band-Aid, but that would be, I mean, that is, to me, a really good opportunity for you to address that without spending $500,000, $1 million. So yeah, is it a Band-Aid? Perhaps, for what you would want as a long-term solution, but that is a very viable option that districts, multiple districts across state have done and feel like that is a responsible act on their part to protect their students and staff.
Okay.
All right, anything else? Okay, 2018 legislative session, Brandon, go ahead.
Oh, let's back up on that one more time. Dave, you're getting me thinking, and that's good. The other thing I want to point out in that one too, back to the aerial, is up at Pavilion, they had a huge concern because they actually had someone on the way to their school stop by the bar and had a firearm and was heading to the school to kill people, or to at least shoot them, or at least threaten. And so they have this thing here, and John was a part of that project. They actually ended up, if I recall right, they went to the commission and they asked for an exception to spend major maintenance on. Let's capture this in our notes. They asked for an exception to use major maintenance. They gave the reason for the need. They asked for an exception to use regular major maintenance to build a vestibule. They also used district funds to enrich that and add a preschool and all kinds of things. And they actually connected to the two buildings with an exception from the commission with major maintenance, and own district funds to even do more than that because of because they felt it was so important. And they stood in a public meeting and made the case for that and the reason why that was important, and the commission did approve that. So
how do you want me to express that?
I think they also approved some of that security money to be used on it, if I recall the conversation I had with their business manager.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it was security, major maintenance, their own funds.
So a blending of funds
Yeah.
to achieve the goal.
So they worked through local law enforcement and actually got them involved. Do you remember that?
I don't remember using security money on that, but
I don't either.
I
But that's
thought,
all right.
I thought that one did use security.
it might have been 10% security funds. Not the 9 million. But
No, the
10%.
10%.
Yes, correct.
Oh, 10%
Correct.
security money.
That part, yes.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, no, it wasn't,
Other districts have came before the commission to ask for an exception.
Exception to
To
spending,
utilize major maintenance.
utilize major maintenance funds to
address security issues
yeah,
or concerns.
yes.
To,
Yeah, basically.
To address security.
They called it a security walkway.
Yeah.
Pavilion, security walkway.
So you've talked to them?
Well, I talk with all the business managers, and they tell us we pass information back and forth.
So, and I know they work with local law enforcement, what is it, not FBI, who's on the Indian reservation?
BIA?
And
I
Bureau
think,
of Indian Affairs.
yeah, I think it might have been BIA, and they worked through a whole process and talked to their board, and they really felt it was so important for them to do that, that they actually asked for that exception to major maintenance. So there's another idea, just trying to throw out ideas to you. It means you guys have to work hard, and if you want to pursue something like that, you know, it's not my job or our job to discourage you, but to encourage you. And we're just looking at other districts and what they've done historically, and to make that available for you as other options.
I would add that what was approved to be used for major maintenance was just a percentage of what the total cost of that connecting piece was.
Yeah, the district coughed up some fairly significant money, like $500,000 or more. More than that, they out of their own reserves, and so obviously they showed that they were really serious. They weren't asking, but you guys do what you want. But anyway, there's an opportunity for you or something to think about.
Okay.
Option.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so, we already discussed House Bill 32, that's for the major maintenance. If you're following the school CapCon, usually the select committee creates a bill, and it goes off to the legislature, through that initial school CapCon bill. This year, they jammed it into House Bill 1 and the overall budget bill, so you'll have to follow it through there if you're tracking it. House Bill 33 was just some cleanup on the use of security or emergency money, what the commission would be allowed to do. So they also added facility, which means they can use it on the site. So not only the building itself, but the site that the building sits on. House Bill 63, if you guys got any construction projects, the contractors have to do a little additional work on workforce services to keep Wyoming people employed. Moving down, can you scroll down a smidget?
Sure.
Let's see, House Bill 65, elimination of the $500,000 threshold on a design build. House Bill 88, currently we're the state construction department. We now are, which has two divisions. They're creating a third division, and we're putting that as operations. That'll have all the project managers in there, the finance team, the planning team, anything that's works on both sides of the house, so we can cover both entities or both sides. Senate Joint Resolution 3, that was to put the funding of schools out to the voters. And the CapCon bill, do you guys currently have anything going through there? I didn't see anything. Yeah. So it's currently survived as the commission recommended, the select committee recommended, and the governor rec. The only thing that changed is the funding of Cary Junior High and Laramie 1, as Charlie mentioned earlier. So hopefully it all survives. Your major maintenance payment will go up a little bit. Last year we had 100, or last biennium was 118. This year we're at 144.5 for the biennium, so you'll see somewhat of an increase. And that's due to the RS means number went up to 169 a square foot. So you'll see a little bit of bump in your payment. In the supplement, in the budget bill, scroll down a smidge more. There's language in the bill saying that for the supplemental, we can only come forward for emergencies or an unanticipated need. So like your Wyoming Indian, if you're in the middle of it, you know, a $20 million job, you needed an extra $800,000 or something, we could come for that, or an emergency need if there's one out there. Going through your facility plan, I don't really see any needs for the supplemental request. Do you guys on your side?
Nope.
Hey, going back to that security walkway, you got me on a roll. Amber's shaking her head. Hey, if you will go back on our website, December of 2016, Pavilion, the documents that Pavilion submitted for justification of this exception is in the December 2016 packet on our website. So you can go back there, read through that, reference it if that's of interest to you.
Okay.
And I'm not going to say anything else about that.
Fair enough. Thank you, Troy. All right. Well, we've come to the end of our facility plan template here with unique issues, ideas, and concerns. And before I turn it over to you, District, real quick, I just want to say thanks to Amber and all the hard work she did again. And District, do you have any unique issues, ideas, or any concerns?
Nope. Everybody's shaking their head no, and we missed our basketball game team plan. So next year, don't put it in regionals or in state time frame, Amber.
You know what? I'm going to move you all the way up to Christmas time to spend some time with me. How's that sound? We'll be on the front end of this one, okay?
All right.
Well, don't mess with my hunting season either.
Now, only if you take me elk hunting with you, we might talk.
All right, staff, anything?
Come.
All right, staff is good. Hey, thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for everything you guys have done, and we will look forward to meeting with you here soon. Thank you.
See you guys.
Bye.